2, 1. Action. And with that, welcome back to our podcast, Insignificant Thoughts Podcast. My name is Louis.
I'm Chris, I think. I don't know.
That was good. I like that. We should do that every time.
A clap every time. It's like, guys, we're starting right now. Like a bad teacher.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. I'm waiting for some snowfall.
I
I feel it in the air.
No, why?
I feel it. I don't know. I feel it in the air.
I don't want it.
We're due for a storm.
You could keep it all.
I just want that one of those storms that'll just like paralyze everything. Like a good 1.5 feet of snow.
I hate the snow, man. Like, listen, I don't mind I guess when it's falling, the beautiful snow, how it looks, but cleaning it up.
Yeah, I get it. Listen, I absolutely get it. But it's such at least for me, the way I see it, and granted, you know this, take this with a grain of salt. I love the cold, so I can't really say, oh yeah, it's no big deal. I love the cold, so it's like, all right, I'm a little biased. But those are unique experiences, unique times, especially when you look outside and when it's just recently fallen and nothing's happening outside.
Yeah.
You realize you're like, wow, there's the...
I know.
We move around a lot as humans. Like we do a lot of crap.
Yeah, no, for real. Like when you have a day where you're gonna have the day off, and it's snowing outside, and you could just sit down and maybe watch a movie and just cuddle with your partner or do whatever you want to do, and that's nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like
nice.
It lends itself to these scenarios that are kind of unique.
Yeah,
it's like no one's, and don't get me wrong, they are technically dangerous occurrences as well, like blizzards and stuff like that. People's roofs, like that recently just happened in upstate New York.
I know, I saw that.
The record snowfall. So it's like I'm not downplaying the severity of any event of Mother Nature, but
no, yeah,
like
we're just
said,
talking about how we like it or not. Yeah,
exactly. It's like you said, it lends itself to those like unique opportunities where you can share with whoever you're sharing with, or just you want to be lazy. And for me, that's like, it sounds golden. It's like, stay inside and play video games.
Yeah.
Like, great.
Yeah. I just don't like when it snows and it's pretty bad. And not like terribly bad where you don't get off but you have to still go to work.
Mm-hmm. When it's like forecast, like the worst is when you have a forecast or a weather person or whatever forecast or weather person say, all right, cool, 11 to 14 inches of snow, right? And somehow in the middle of the night, it gets downgraded from like 5 to 8, and then everyone only wakes up to 3. That's happened before.
No, it's true. All the time.
I'm like,
all the time.
Like, what? It's
Schools
like
get delayed and canceled, whatever, and then it's just nothing.
Don't get me wrong. We don't give them credit when they're actually they're kind of within what can happen. I mean, we're dealing with events of Mother Nature here, and there's still so much we don't understand.
Yeah.
On multiple fronts. So it's like, I give them credit, but still, sometimes it's like, come on, give me a break. It's like I was fully anticipating not going to school, not working, not doing XYZ, but just enough snow falls to make it inconvenient. 3 to 6 inches, at least for the northeastern region. 3 to 6 inches. It's like, everyone's like, we're fine.
Which falls kind of into what we're going to talk about today, because they have to mess with this things to be able to figure out if the snow is coming or not, which is our topic for today's technology.
Yes.
Which is something that Chris thought about, and I want to make sure, and we want to make sure that we are talking about things that we're interested in, and whenever someone comes in, that's something that they're interested in. And what made you think about technology, Chris?
I don't know. Well, not only are we surrounded by it everywhere, pretty much all the time now. Everyone has a cell phone and everything, but I have my desktop. I built my desktop. I've built multiple desktops in the past. I like to troubleshoot my own things, my own computers or whatever. I don't know. I've always been super duper into technology, and as I've stated before in probably a couple episodes, it's like I have this love-hate relationship with technology. Love it on the end where it's like it's innovative, it provides all these wonderful I guess you could say it just adds value, whether it's in form of entertainment or in the form of, the internet and trying to learn and this and that, or for other obscure or horrible things. But, it's such a great tool, but it's also a double-edged sword. I don't know. So I figured it's like something I'm into, something I'm surrounded by, something I've pretty much ever since I can remember, I've been into technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's what we're surrounded, just like you're saying, something that we're surrounded by, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about. Mostly because something that you were interested in, and I always like. Again, you're like one of my best friends, and I don't know. I like people to explore things that they're interested in, and talk about it. So, what is something specifically that you wanted to talk about with technology?
What can't you go like? Technology pretty much is going and spidering into every different direction.
Mm-hmm.
That all you have to do is look in a direction, pick a flavor, and you can have an in-depth conversation about technology.
Yeah.
A cell phone is a good example.
Mm-hmm.
Something as stupid as that. Before 2000 and I don't know, when was the iPhone introduced? The iPhone did something phenomenal in the world.
When was the iPhone introduced?
I believe it's 2008, 2007. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it was right around when I was graduating high school. This is when iPods were still a thing. Now iPods are pretty much dead.
Yeah. Wait, it was iPod before the iPhone, right?
Yeah. There used to be all these. I doubt anyone that's listening is not going to remember, but they were basically just little media player devices.
The nanos.
There was nanos. There was the bigger ones, the bigger classic ones with a big hard drive. Audio devices actually at one point in time were coming out with docks integrated within the audio devices because that's how prevalent iPods were. I mean, iPods were pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
If you wanted to listen to music, at least at a consumer level, with decent audio quality, your pick was iPod or pretty much no one else. Everyone else kind of, either their products were just subpar or their software was ass. Like they're just, but yeah, this was the iPod. It was that whole era was phenomenal and wonderful to watch.
I actually didn't have an iPod until later, like probably like a few generations after.
Oh, me
like
neither.
My few things were I had MP3s.
I had MP3 players. I had a bunch
players.
of MP3 players. The Creative Labs was. I'm pretty sure they don't create MP3 players anymore or whatever. Creative Labs, I had some of theirs, which was an obscure kind of competitor to Apple. Then there was SanDisk, which they're known for their flash drive memories. If I'm not mistaken, they're still in the business of having MP3 players out there. Obviously,
are they really?
Yeah. Obviously, the quality has kind of shot
upgraded.
up.
Yeah,
way back when it was revolutionary just to have 1,000 songs in your hand.
That's true.
I don't know.
Space was always a thing.
Right?
Yeah.
The space was like space came at a premium. I remember when it was like, oh, this iPod could have up to 1,000 something songs, and everyone was like, "Oh my god,
how many gigs?
Never."
How many gigs do you think was like the first iPad? iPod. I'm sorry.
iPod. I don't know. I should. I used to. Or
like 8 gigs.
No, way less.
Way less than that. You think?
Yeah, way less than that. 8 gigs was like a luxury. 8 gigs are what we're having now, if I'm not mistaken. No, not really.
No way.
It was probably 32 or whatever. I'm so like far removed from the world of iPods or Apple because I as you know, I don't have a lot of Apple devices, if at all. So it's kind of hard for me to place where iPods are now. I know they phased a lot of them out.
Yeah.
I know they became like relics.
Yeah.
There's people that are chasing after the old classic ones with the ones that used to come with a hard drive inside of them.
The bricks,
the
big ones.
Yeah, the big one. Well, yeah, the big ones, but they still had that color screen. That was the most recent one that came, the classic one. It was big, but that one had like an 80 gig hard drive or something crazy in it, where it's like you could just store a crazy amount of songs, and it still had the dock. And you can, if you listen to it enough closely, or if you held it enough, and if you paid close enough attention, you can feel the disc vibrating because it actually had a hard disk in it.
Interesting.
Yeah, the other ones were based off of flash memory, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But that was like a selling feature of the iPod Classic towards the end. They were like, "Oh, look, regular hard drive. That means a lot of space. You know, here you go."
Yeah. Now we're crying about 64 gigs on a phone.
Yeah, we're crying about 60.
It's not enough.
They're like, "Oh, I can't store all my pictures," but that's how they get you, though.
It's true.
That's how they get you because now, listen, flash memory is still kind of, again, more expensive than regular memory. Like what you have on your phone is considered flash memory, not a rotating disk brick thing. You
Yeah.
know, I think I've explained it to you before. You know,
If you have, it probably went right over my head.
you know USB drives, right? So picture that as just the newer way of storing things. In the past, it used to be like you used to have this big thing, and it used to have multiple like discs, like metal discs, almost like CDs.
Yeah. I think I remember that.
Did I open one in front of you? I think I have. I think I showed you like, hey, look, this is my damn hard
Probably.
drive. Like,
Probably. Yeah, but I think I think I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
and then there's a little
I have to, like,
reader.
look
It's
at
like
it.
It's basically a bunch of discs. So picture these layers being discs, right? And then the discs are rotating very quickly, and then there's just a little thing that's going across it, apparently reading bits of information on these metal discs.
That's wild.
Yeah. But again, that goes to tell you how far technology has advanced. That is literally no longer well, not no longer. There are computers that still come with it, but obviously more budget-friendly computers
Yeah.
have the older technology. The newer or even the mid-grade level stuff, now you'll see that they just have solid state,
Yeah.
technology, solid state drive technology. So it's
Yeah.
like it's crazy to see how things have evolved, and that's probably why Apple was just like, forget about that stupid hard drive old thing. We got touch screens and phones.
I
and
know. There's like a lot of it gets scary sometimes to think about like what could possibly happen and the things there's some things that I'm going to talk to you about and that I'm going to bring up, but you start like messing with AI and all this like futuristic kind of thing. We've made movies about them,
Yeah.
and yet we're still trying to make it. I don't get it. Do you get scared about that at all? You get worried?
I worry, but I don't get scared.
Okay.
And the reason why I don't get scared is because you ever watch The Terminator? I'm just kidding. Let me stop.
I mean,
Let me stop. The reason why I don't really get scared is because essentially, I'm not stating that the creation cannot become more powerful than the creator and that AI cannot become sentient. But I think I'd hope that whoever's working on it would have enough of a brain to understand the dangers of it. And that we would kind of catch ourselves before that.
well, that's the thing.
I have a little hope.
I think
but-
that they have the brains to understand the danger, but they still want to push the boundaries.
I get it.
And I feel like that's where the freaking danger
But
comes.
I might be botching all of this completely in terms of what I understand.
Well, I don't
about
know anything
machine
about it
learning.
anyway, but
Yeah. And I honestly don't do any machine learning work. I would love to. Machine learning and AI work is probably on my bucket of like aspirations. If I
okay,
had a
it's
little
gonna be
more
your next
time.
degree.
Who next degree? No. Well, either that or like cybersecurity. But either way, in the world of tech and AI, from what I have understood, yes, we are advancing and we are pretty up there in terms of what we can do with AI.
Yeah.
There's recent, the most recent famous one is ChatGPT. If you just look at videos on YouTube, you're going to find thousands upon thousands of videos with a bunch of clickbait on it saying it's the end of everybody's job because ChatGPT has come and taken over.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, and I'll make it clear and concise for everyone in layman's terms, is we are going to be okay. It is fine. This ChatGPT thing, the truth of the matter is it's just based off of statistical models and statistical learning. That's how these things function. You write these algorithms that have an input, and then that input becomes an input for another algorithm or for that same algorithm to improve itself.
Yeah.
It feeds into itself.
But what's the worry for people? What is it
The
that people are
worry
worrying
for
about?
but people are worried that it will become, well, that it will become sentient. That's the number one fear, where it's like everyone's watched, not everybody, but iRobot is a good example of that, where it's like, oh, well, then what's going to happen if a system, for example, that controls a set amount of things or some things that are convenient for us. Let's just randomly say that an AI controls and filters our water supply perfectly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then that AI becomes sentient in some way or form and now wants to hold the world hostage. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like that's the worry. It's now there are certain things that we're leaving and certain decisions that we're leaving into the hands of something else, not even someone else.
And you don't think that will happen?
I don't think in our lifetime, to be honest. Not with my current understanding of advancements. We are up there in advancements. I'm telling you, ChatGPT it's beautiful and it's kind of creepy to watch at the same time. I can literally tell it, hey, write me I don't know, I work in like the data analyst field. Write me a SQL query that joins two tables, whatever. You give it a certain type of complex input, and believe it or not, it can give you an output. And it can give you a convincing output where you'll be like, whoa, I got to test this. But lo and behold, in a lot of scenarios that I've seen and tried to test myself, you grab that answer and it's not necessarily the correct answer. It might explain, it might have things, but it's not necessarily 110% correct. You might have to tailor it to your scenario.
Yeah.
So in essence, it is literally just another tool.
But do you think that it can potentially get to the point where people are thinking which it'll hold us hostage? It'll become dangerous.
Maybe at one point, yeah. I mean, at this point, it's able to provide complex answers to complex questions. Questions that you can throw at it. I'm telling you, that you can throw very complex questions to it. And the more popular the content is online, the better able or the more equipped it is to respond.
But then
so
if there's that if there's that if, why even release it?
So I guess there's the other side of the coin. What if it doesn't? What if it's okay? What if everything's fine?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we all are hoping that, yeah, if it's fine, great.
I mean, we've done that with nuclear technology. I mean,
that's true, I guess. Yeah,
for the world to be fine, except we drop a couple nukes later. Like, you know,
yeah.
Humanity has always pushed the boundaries of exploration, for forever. Ever since history can. Ever since the oldest written portion of history, we explore boundaries. We surpass them. We create technologies that help solve problems. And humanity's fever for exploration is almost almost sickly when you think about it. Like I guess that now that I really really think about it, talking about like shows and technology, I'm like my brain's all over the place right now. But
yeah,
when I was younger, Star Trek used to be the biggest freaking thing for me. Honestly, Star Trek was everything. I was like, yo, these people.
I've never watched it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Well, it's sci-fi. It's like it's not everyone's cup of tea. This is like wild. Imagine one day I'll have you watch a
Star Trek
episode.
or Star Wars.
Oh,
haven't
God.
watched them either.
Someone
don't come for me. Sorry.
No, but it was fascinating for me to watch because as a kid I was watching these basically space explorers or whatever go throughout the galaxy and explore unknown worlds and unknown everything, and I'm like, why does humanity do this? But throughout the years I've understood, and now that I think about it again, we've always done that. Dynamite.
Yeah,
it's another thing, you know.
No, that's true.
The particle accelerator. Why would we build something so freaking dangerous? Like,
wait,
you know?
wait. Hold up. a particle
Wait, I
accelerator
think that's what it's called. Don't quote me.
It's an actual thing.
I don't know if that's what it's called. I'm pretty sure I'm botching the name, but essentially what I'm referring to is something that creates antimatter. It's a device that helps create antimatter, and if it collides with matter, then poof.
Isn't this like in Flash or something?
I think that there's multiple references to it in a lot of shows.
A huge part of the Flash. So wait, so this thing is actually a real thing.
I don't know if it's called particle accelerator, but yes, it is a real thing. It produces antimatter.
And what is antimatter?
So picture antimatter as the complete opposite of everything you see around you now. That's the best way I can describe it.
Oh, okay.
If it collides with here, the now with matter, poof. That's the most basic way I can explain that concept, because it's very complex, and I'm like,
so why make it?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, why make it? Why make it? Just because we discovered antimatter? It's like, great, let's make it. Highly dangerous. Great.
Interesting.
But that's what I'm saying. We've always done stupid crap like that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. It's so weird to me, because I've always watched these shows and heard about a particle accelerator. We're not saying that it's true or not, but I'm just saying.
No.
I mean the name of it.
I gotta look it up, and I really have to look it up now, because.
Yeah, but that's interesting, because now you're talking about what is it called again? Not the particle accelerator.
Oh, never mind. It is called the particle accelerator. Particle accelerator is a machine that uses electromagnetic fields to propel charged particles to very high speeds and energies, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not going to read that.
No, it's fine.
It's too much. I'm like, it's more.
I got to look into that now, because I thought that this is just a fictional thing that I saw on a show.
When I first heard of the particle accelerator, I literally told myself, and when I tried to understand the science behind it, and I was way younger, I was just like, why are we doing that? We're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like I said, story of humanity's life. I mean.
Yeah. I have 3 things that I wanted to talk to you about, because I feel like you will be interested in. Okay. I did a little bit of research. I have it written here. I'll read a little bit about it. So I wanted to talk about the pros and cons of human cloning.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so it says here this is just a quick definition. So cloning seeks to replicate the DNA and function of living beings, including plants, animals, and humans. It says here concerns regarding human cloning may parallel those associated with animal cloning, such as decreased lifespan, increased biological abnormalities, and inefficient production. So human cloning, is this like something that people are still working on doing? And how close are we to doing that?
There's a couple of years ago, there was that famous, sheep. There were a couple of animals that we successfully cloned. Unfortunately, I believe most of them died early. That it says that on your list of cons.
Okay, by the way, remember what you're going to say.
Uh-huh.
What is so impressive to me about Chris, and I know it's hard for Chris to take compliments, but
oh God,
I always been so jealous of Chris's mind, because Chris,
I'm weird.
There's very weird things, or very rare things I should say, that I could come to Chris and ask him about, and he doesn't know. I don't understand how your brain works, that you know all of this information. And I was interested in getting like interesting topics and things to talk about technology, because I know that Chris is going to have the answer for it, which is weird. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, the animals. I guess in response to that, honestly, I don't know why either. Like, I just read these things in passing, and then it just gets stamped on my brain, especially if I have some sort of interest. Cloning was one of those. I actually wrote a paper on it.
Really?
In the early college days. Very, very early college days. I wrote a paper on cloning, and I wrote a paper on abortion, ironically. So they were both my best papers in English 1 or something, or English 2, whatever the case may be. But I had to do some research in that, and I think that's why it stood in my head. So there was, and we have successfully cloned things and animals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, to my knowledge, think we have successfully cloned people.
Yeah. I mean, I hope not if we haven't successfully done an animal that could live for a long time.
Yeah, well, that's what scientists are trying to explain at the moment. We don't know what the heck is going on. Cloning, life in itself is so complex that I don't know why we would ever think that our current methods of science can replicate it. The reason why I say that, and it's not because I'm a science skeptic or anything, is I tell people cognition within itself. So you and I having this conversation, having a means of communication, having what they call a channel of communication back and forth. You're receiving my message, you're interpreting it, and then you're sending a message. That's the whole cycle of communication requires cognitive ability. That in itself, still misunderstood. Many things in the body still misunderstood. So what makes us think that we can make something tick, just like freaking Frankenstein? It's not. I have my little gripes with cloning, and I'm not stating that it's not a phenomenal technology and scientific. It's great. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, it's insane to even think about that. They were somewhat successful, right? They created another animal from one animal. It didn't have a long life, but it was still able to. How did that happen? By the way, is it like did they do a video of it?
I think they did. There was a press release and everything. There was like.
And what happens? Do you see the physical form being created of the animal somewhere else?
Yeah. There's not somewhere else. It's just.
I mean, I'm saying like next, wherever it was being created or something.
Okay, here is it. Oh wow, I'm out of date. Approximately 22 animal species have been reported to be cloned by somatic cell nuclear transfer. I have no idea what that means. I think that's where they take a cell from the animal, so it's not a reproductive cell, but they insert the DNA in the egg. Sorry, I forgot. I remember the tech.
Again. It's like,
sorry.
It's like, I don't think I know this. Actually, here's the definition.
It says somatic cell nuclear transfer. It's that cell nuclear transfer, so it has to be some sort of DNA. Sorry. Whoops.
Oh my god.
You could tell I was a freaking Star Trek nerd head when I was little. Among them, approximately 19 have had individuals which survived to adulthood. Dolly the sheep was cloned in 1996. Yeah, that one I remember.
Wait, so they've had success where they've gotten to adulthood?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
Wait, so what?
According to nature.com.
So let me get this right. So the thing that the animal that they cloned, I'm assuming was a young animal.
Well, no, when you're cloning something, you're pretty much growing it like if it were a baby.
No, but I'm saying like because you're saying that the animals were able to live until adulthood, right? And they're cloning something, so whatever they cloned wasn't an adult. Is that how that works? Or is it just
whatever you're cloning? It has to go through its cycle. You're cloning a baby.
So now, if somebody were to clone me, they're not cloning my whole physical form, adulthood. It's just a cloning me into a baby.
Yeah. So basically, they would take an egg or whatever, and then take. From what I have understood, I'm totally botching this explanation, but they would take an egg or whatever, and they would insert your DNA or your material in there to see if you successfully get cloned.
Oh, I see. So you see, my dumbass is thinking. My dumbass is
You're thinking it was being like 3D printed? Yeah, I would love that. I mean, wouldn't that be great? Imagine. It's like, yes, we've gotten that far with technology.
This is what I
can
was
print
amazed,
myself
bro.
a whole body. Just connect my brain to USB and we'll be fine.
I don't want to upload this video.
Why
It's
not?
so dumb.
No, it's fine. It happens. There's actually a really, really cool Netflix series based on that.
Okay.
It's
About
called,
like how it works.
Yeah, like how it would be if we lived in a world where that was possible, and
Oh.
that I think, if I'm not mistaken, the premise of the series is it's only available to the people that are kind of like wealthier or whatever, so they can buy another copy of their body. I think
Like
it's
where
called.
I've seen like where it's like basically your conscious is being deposited into a new body.
Yeah,
basically.
I think it's called Altered Carbon. I think that's the series, but there's also several movies based on that.
I think we're trying to do that too, right?
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, cloning is the first step. You would have to have something that we still don't understand so much. So you would have to have the same thing in order for you to even transfer. So it's like right now, let's say you died, how would we get the same body, transfer your consciousness, and how would that even freaking work? Like I'm pretty sure we're trying. I'm pretty damn sure we're trying. And that we started on that one.
That's wild. Yeah, because it would have to be obviously a living thing. But then what happens if because if you're trying to get to that point where you're trying to get your consciousness into this other body, right? It would have to be, I guess, then what happens to their conscience?
But
that clone, is it just doesn't have a conscience?
Well,
because it's a clone.
That's the question mark. How do? That's not you.
Yeah,
it can't be you because you can't transfer you to the clone of you.
Bro, I feel like when we start playing God, man, bad things happen.
I mean, I've always stated that to people. Anyone that knows me, I was like, you for the entirety of mankind's history, the times where we've tried to play God, we get slapped on the wrist.
Yeah.
And then Mother Nature loves reminding us, you're not in control, buddy.
And then that would be creepy too, because then how can your consciousness as an adult be transferred to a child? What's going to happen? Is that child?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know.
But I'm saying if that concept becomes true, right? Let's say we become successful. Yeah. That means that there's going to be
I want to go into a child. Like, that's what I'm saying. Is like, would they wait that long? There's so many questions.
That's a lot. There's a lot of question. It's a lot of questions.
Imagine we get to the way I picture it is like, in a world where it's readily accessible, I think it would be where like I would have a copy of myself, right? If it were possible, I would have a copy of myself, right? Just on standby, just waiting or whatever in case something happens. Yeah. Something happens to me, I can either take organs from that copy of myself, or if I have multiple copies or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if this current body, something happens to it, and it's no longer functional, I can transfer my consciousness to the new body, which is still at the same age.
Yeah.
But then that's another weird thing is like you can't even control that.
Yeah, because then you have to like probably accelerate the growth.
But even if you accelerated the growth, I was listening to I forgot what podcast. You see, I listen to all this stupid crap, and I never subscribe and like shit sometimes, so it's like it literally gets lost in my brain.
You guys don't do that. You guys like and subscribe.
Yes,
right?
yes. Like and click on the bell icon to receive whatever they say. I really don't know. I do know, but
me too, but I don't care.
I don't either. So there's what was I saying?
You were talking about the getting the body like older.
Oh yeah. Like you can't. I was listening to like a podcast and a conversation, and there was a guy that mentioned something, and it's true. Identical twins were assumed to have the same set of genetics and DNA, and all things considered equal are supposed to technically grow up the same. But it turns out no. It turns out twins can have different sets of medical problems.
Right.
It turns out one can be shorter than the other by a little bit. One can have bigger feet than the other one. There's distinguishing features that can happen between them as they grow up. Why? Because of their exposure to life and their genetic expression. We don't know. We don't know. Even identical twins have differences. So it's like we have to get past the hurdle and make that body be exactly like mine.
Yeah.
Or do we? I don't know. You
That'll
see, that's such a complex, like,
Yeah.
that, no. Thank God that's like not possible. I would be like, wrapping my head around that one would be like, what?
That would be a lot.
No,
but
too
it would be crazy if we get to, I mean, if we get even close to that, it will be insane. I'm sure that people will throw a lot of money at it.
I mean, that's what people do now. Body
Yeah.
alterations, body modifications. There's guys and gals, the human reptile guy.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Human reptile guy. No shade.
Crazy.
You want to come on the podcast?
It's crazy what people do to their bodies.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, would people do this other thing? I'm pretty sure they would. Without a shadow of a doubt, there has to be, or there would be, a group of people that would be like, yeah, sure. I don't want to be in my body anymore.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, 100%.
It's
There will
like,
be. I mean,
that's happening. Like
can we have?
happening
It'll be
now.
like the older people would have. Like, can we have my
My
25-year-old
perfect
body ready to go? Oh my god, 100%.
Can I have a more petite body, please? Like, I feel like we're gonna get to a point where there's gonna be no bounds of like human greed, to satisfy our own selves in whatever regard.
I wonder if technology will get to a point where you could physically just get fit super fast.
Probably. I'm telling you, if we're,
My
we're talking,
my fat self hoping
it's
for it.
it's
Yes,
like,
please.
Give me this injection. Yes, thank you. I'm taking my weight booster shot. What do you mean weight booster shot? Imagine.
All right, so that was one of the ones that I wanted to talk about. I'll move on to the next one. So the next one is the implications of human identity chips.
No. Hell no. No. This topic.
Yeah, so I mean I don't have to read the description because it's very self-explanatory, but yeah, that becomes really scary, and for me that becomes a little bit too scary because it gets closer to biblical.
Like biblical, almost like a
Biblical
a scenario of biblical proportions where
Yeah.
if you don't have said chip or said identifier,
boom.
either boom, or you can no longer transact.
Yeah.
Because it says that in
basically
the
die
Bible.
anyway.
Yeah, in the Bible it states that, and
Yeah.
it's like if you don't receive, what is it in Revelation somewhere? It's like if you don't receive the mark of the beast, you won't be able to transact. You won't be able to function in normal society. And to a certain extent, I don't blame people for having that in their head because of these human identifying chips.
Yeah.
Because we already kind of do that partially. Your driver's
phone
license, your
stuff.
social security number, these are identifiers and
That's
and
true.
These are things to track you. But then now you're blurring the lines. How far are you going to go?
I know, and it gets scary there because like you for us as Christians, we're technically not supposed to accept that if it was the mark of the beast.
Correct.
So we're technically not supposed to accept that. But then I start thinking, and I'm just like, what if it's not? Like, what if, like, let's say if this thing, right, that is supposed to be the mark of the beast is not the mark of the beast, and then I'm just here denying it because of my beliefs, and now I die for the wrong reason.
Well, why would you die though? Like,
Because if I don't get that
you
chip,
won't be able to function within
I
normal
won't-
society.
well, you can't buy anything.
Yeah,
you can't buy food.
You can't buy or
you're-
sell.
Yeah, so
Doesn't mean you can't grow. I will move my ass to the middle of the fucking freaking U.S.
yeah,
I mean, to your point, yeah. What if not? But the thing is at that point, and this is where you have to you kind of have to tear between the veils of like religion and here being in real life and figuring things out, and why our founding fathers of this nation were, even though different time, they were still very inspired men and very wise men.
yeah.
I don't think it would ever come to that point because of, especially here in this country, our love for freedom, our love for no surveillance, like stay out of my life.
America.
Kind of America, kind of like, you know. It's ironically the same individualism that is kind of destroying, I would say, communities or a sense of community and a sense of family. But it also has made the correct application of individualism and liberties have made this country. And I don't think we would get to a point where that would happen. So I haven't been to like other countries and having read up on technologies for other countries. Like, for example, I'll give you a great example. The CCP, China. YouTube's probably going to censor and demonetize us. So YouTube, don't charge us. Okay, we're not monetized. Anyway, I don't really care anyway. But the CCP has a social credit score system that is woven into your identity, into like your social security, into like everything. And that literally dictates how you interact with society, right? And through your phone, you interact with like society, like payment systems and stuff like that. So if your credit score goes, your social credit score goes below a certain threshold, you might not be able to go to certain banks, et cetera, et cetera. It's almost like a credit score. This is China.
This is in China.
This is in China.
Or happening.
Already. It's been happening for years.
Wow.
They have this, China spent a ridiculous amount of money. And this is why I always tell people, I'm like, behind the beautiful charade, or what is it? Behind the beautiful freaking, I don't know how an act that China puts up, they've invested so much money in things that are not only, in my opinion, immoral, but it's just it's wrong, plain old wrong. This social credit system, I'm telling you, where it's like, let's say you protest against the government, right? Well, your social credit score system goes down,
right?
And all of a sudden you can't transact with certain banks anymore.
That's
and all of
wild.
A sudden, that's what I'm saying. Is like that would not happen here, and I hope it wouldn't, because I'd hope there's enough people that cherish the individual freedoms and liberties in this country.
Yeah, I don't think it would happen here. Yeah.
Even I kind of say that with a grain of salt, because some people have led me to believe nowadays that they don't cherish that because they don't understand how the rest of the world functions. I'll give you another good example, and this is I was baffled when this happened. What was it? A year ago, 2 years ago? I went to Ecuador with my parents. This was not the trip that just happened. This was the year before. And I think I told you this. To go to the pharmacy to get something, they ask you for your social, your identification number.
What?
Yes, they do.
Who asks you? In the store?
In the store.
Before you pay?
Before you pay.
Why?
Because they basically want to track, or you're allowed to write certain things off. It's like a different tax system and things like that. But long story short, it's also a way for the government to track specifically what everybody's spending money on, what you're doing.
Interesting.
It's like another example. We were in the mall in one of the main cities, and it says, "Oh yeah, Wi-Fi gratis, free Wi-Fi, whatever." And then I try to get on, and it's like, "Oh, número de cédula," which is your social security number. And I'm like,
that's creepy. That's weird.
That's creepy. That's weird. And I was telling my aunts and uncles over there, I was like, that does not fly over there. But then it's like you get to see the implications of said system.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, China, we all know, is a tad more corrupt. As much as people want to paint China as being a great country, it's not without its fair share of corruption. And unfortunately, it's not without its fair share of infringement on civil liberties, right? As much as people want to argue on both sides of the lane, I'm not here for that, but you have to admit that there is infringement on civil liberties, on individual liberties. The same thing happens in Ecuador. When individual liberties suffer, good people, aren't able to thrive. Good people aren't able to defend themselves. Good people aren't able to prosper.
Yeah.
So that's why I believe that things like that, or giving just a simple social security number, is like absurd. It's like, no, stay out of my business. Like, you don't need to know that I'm buying ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
So it's like, and people do it over there because it's normal, because they were born there and they were raised there.
Yeah.
It's just,
it's what they know.
It's what they know. But then the implications of that, the ramifications of that, I'm telling you, you could even see it in the police. Like, the police think they have this domain and power over you over there, because they, that's how the police are over there. Meanwhile, here, God forbid a police infringes on your freedoms and certain rights that you have. You do have rights.
Yeah.
And you can defend yourself. Over there, you keep.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, we still get like,
No, I'm not saying that there aren't cases where police mess up or whatever, but it's like over there, I'm telling you, we got stopped. I kid you not, in this past trip, probably like 4 or 5 times minimum. They're just standing in the middle of the road. Like, they're just police standing in the middle of the road, and they're all bunched up together. You could tell they just had, well, they don't have donuts over there, but whatever. I don't know. Insert your police snack here. And you could tell they're just there. And all my cousins say, they're just like, they're just there to just say they're doing something.
And they stop.
And they're allowed to do that. They stop, número de cédula, and they have a little thing in front of them. Literally asking you for the social? Yes, they were straight up
Did you guys
asking.
have to give it?
My dad had to give it. And then he was like, oh, what's your name? Oh, it's not coming up in the system. Oh, do you have your cédula or your passport? Then he was asking for passport. I'm telling you, these are things that happen that people don't talk about. This is why when people here complain about freedom, I'm like, you really don't know.
Yeah, no,
like in other countries. And they can give you a hard time if they're just having a bad damn day.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And then if they're having a bad damn day and they get a mood or whatever, what do you inevitably have to do in that circumstance, unfortunately? You end up having to say, well, officer, I didn't mean any trouble. Have a great day.
Yeah.
You slip him a $5 bill.
Yeah.
So it's like
disgusting.
The corruption is all throughout. It's like the control that you have over the populace directly correlates into whether or not citizens can fend for themselves, whether they can defend themselves, whether they can prosper or not.
Yeah, that's terrible. We're very lucky.
In Ecuador, don't call the police. You'll be hard pressed for them to arrive.
It's terrifying to think about, right? Because we see the police as a safety measure and something that we can rely on when something's going wrong, and to think that you could live somewhere where that is just basically, it exists, is there, the police, but it's not something reliable.
It's not. In
scary.
Ecuador, it's completely, even the construction reflects it. It's completely different. There's like spikes on the doors. There's big doors. You don't park your car in the streets at night, especially in certain neighborhoods. Don't. No, you don't. That's a no-no.
So does every house have like
every house has like a you have to open the gates, like a gated thing where you put your car in. There's it for the people that can't afford these metal spikes that go on these doors. If it's like a cement wall or whatever, what they would do is they just break a bunch of glass and then just put it up in the cement spiked up. Like that's how prevalent crime and whatnot has been in certain parts of other parts of the world.
Yeah.
And then the fact that police can't do anything, you can see how people react. It's like multiple. It's not even. For example, the house we stayed in, it's not like you just open one door, one little lock, and that's it. That's the U.S. Over there, there's like one lock for the front gate, then a second lock to get into like the house area, a second gate. Then you have to open the actual door, which is a double bolted lock. And then they had an alarm system on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, they don't feel safe.
No. Yeah. And to be honest, I mean, I didn't. And I wouldn't. I'd be hard pressed to bring anyone from over here and take them over there and tell them.
But I want to come to Ecuador. We spoke about this.
Ecuador is beautiful. You should. Ecuador truly is beautiful. I'm not stating. But, no area and no country is without its negatives.
No, definitely. There's parts of PR that you don't want to be at.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, I think it's everywhere. It's like, I mean, every country has parts like that, but not every country has these problems.
Yeah, these particular problems. Yeah. And I know Puerto Rico has similar problems with police as well. I'm not stating the same, but it's like in Ecuador, you don't call the police.
Yeah.
Why? Because the police, if I'm not mistaken, the police don't, either they have guns and they either don't use it, or they have guns and they're old or whatever. But if the police kill somebody over there, the police goes to jail.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't
That's
know
like
that.
old. It's different laws. That's what I'm saying. It's different laws here. If someone comes in through that door
You get
and
to
I
shoot
had a
him.
gun and I didn't, well, not me. Well, you're the owner of the house, but you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
shoot him.
Yeah, self defense.
Self defense.
Yeah.
Over there, you can't do that. You'll go to jail.
Wow.
So, so that's what I'm saying. Populist control.
Yeah.
Control over what you do. There is no justifying what you do. They dictate what you should and should not do and what is right and what is wrong. And that's not good.
Yeah,
So
definitely
that
not.
goes back to the chip.
Yeah.
Here, I don't think that would happen. I
Yeah.
think there'll be a group of people that'll be like, "Stay away from me," and I would.
I hope so.
I would be like, "Yeah, stay away from me."
I hope so. I hope so. Well, I mean, it's wild. But
Yeah.
let's go on to the next thing. So I have
Is there
one more
another
thing that I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
One more thing, because I know we're like running out of time. But
We had time.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I mean, I like to stay like in whatever.
Yeah,
But
the hour mark.
so I think I told you about this, but a biotechnologist. A biotechnologist is in Germany is developing the world's first artificial womb facility. Have you seen this?
I have seen that recently. I haven't read the articles enough, but to me, it's bonkers.
Bro, it's weird. So
I cannot believe that we're getting to. Well, we're not there. Obviously, it's not like we're printing babies.
Yeah.
But
well, this is what the guy's name is Hashem Al Ghaili. I'm probably butchering it.
they come to our podcast and correct us.
It's he says the facility would allow infertile couples to conceive a baby and become the true biological parents of their own offspring. A so-called elite package will allow you to genetically engineer the embryo before implanting it into the artificial womb. And then everything from eye and hair color to strength, height, and intelligence can be chosen, and inherited genetic diseases can be avoided.
I don't know.
That's
a little far.
So basically, like,
That's a little
you could
far, IMO.
create your own
baby,
whatever,
that's what I'm
your own
saying.
baby
We're not
however you want it to be, and if you have basically like underlying conditions, you won't pass it to that baby.
We're playing God,
Bro.
That's what I'm saying. I know that there's. If we read the article, there's definitely going to be like asterisks everywhere where it's like,
I'm sure,
the
yeah.
facility will be open by 2035, and in reality, it's going to open probably 2065. But nevertheless, it's happening. So it's
Yeah.
like I see things like that, and I like fear that is the actual where, in my opinion, technologies going a little far.
Yeah, it's
You're trying to play God. And even if you don't believe in God, I'm telling you, let's replace God with something else or whatever. That mankind trying to play Mother Nature. Every single time we think we know what we're doing, it backfires, and it backfires bad, especially when it comes with nature.
Yeah.
I don't think this is any different.
Yeah, it's but the thing here with all of this stuff, right, is that I could see it as a positive thing.
I
right?
can too.
I could see it as a positive thing
Yeah.
for someone obviously that has struggled to have a kid, and this is their only chance and opportunity to do that. But then it's just the implications
It's just
and
the
weird
verbiage
things
they
that,
use there. To me, was like elite package. I'm like,
Well, that's the
bro.
problem right
Like,
now.
This is not Six Flags. This is not a season pass. Like,
yeah, it's like, okay, you could already, without even this being out, you already have levels and layers.
It's
right,
like,
where
here,
the
pick
elite
your child. It's
yeah.
like, all right, if you trash tier, then you don't get to do anything. You're just putting a sperm and an egg together and hoping for the best. Like,
Well, I would assume that maybe, I guess, like even the lowest bro, I am like Spanishing out today.
that's
Like,
fine. So we were supposed to have. Oh no, we're not supposed to have a Spanish speaker today. It's supposed to be someone else.
No. But I forgot what I was saying. anyway, it's just all super weird. I'm so upset that I just forgot what I was saying. But
Tears. You were talking about tears, and you said tears, I think, instead of tears. There's already different tiers.
Tears. Yeah. There's different tiers without it even being
Out.
open.
Like
out.
that's what I'm saying.
Nothing
that's
at all.
It's like, what is this, an amusement park? Like, no, I don't. I just think that even if you don't believe in like God or religion or something like that, you have to believe that there are limitations. If you don't believe life has its limits, then I question how you're living. But that's a different subject, different day. But I think this is one of those things where I really would tread on the side of caution.
Yeah.
With this one.
Yeah, 100%.
Same thing with cloning.
I'm there with you. Yeah, it seems like, all right, so I feel like I've done a terrible job at like bringing like positive side of technology. I feel like I brought a lot of like
there's still a positive side.
Yeah, it's crazy
to
cool
your point,
things.
I know people that cannot have kids, and
Yeah.
it is mentally exhausting for those individuals.
Yeah.
When I mean mentally, it's like you can see. I physically have observed a couple try for about 2 years, and you can see it in their face by the end of the 2 years how defeated they felt.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know for a fact that there's people out there that would like that and
100%.
would do that in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
There's even people that say it's like, oh yeah, adopting is not the same because it's not yours. So it's like by that token, from what I'm hearing, I get it. There's some people that want their offspring, but they cannot have it.
Yeah, no, I know. It's that would I can't imagine how hard that is, and how these things could shed light into some people, and bring something positive to them. And
I know it will. I have no doubt that. I mean, that's why it's happening in the first place.
It has to be super expensive, though.
I would like to know
it would
how
probably
much.
have to be so because you're already thinking about like IVF and all that stuff. It's already expensive. I can't.
How much is IVF?
I don't know exactly.
25 to 50,000 last time I recall.
Which is wild. It's wild already. Like that's expensive, and then I can't imagine this. This has hundreds.
Probably a couple $100,000, and that's if they even get a facility up and running. Because at this point, you don't have anything. This is just announced so the people that have buku money can just be like, hey.
Yeah, I don't know how far they are with this. I didn't read much into the actual thing, but I would have to read more.
The way it sounds, if it's true, because I would have to check all. I have not read any of these things. This is one of those where I want to read more into it, because sometimes they come out with headlines like that. We all know this.
Yeah.
News and the internet, they want to get you to click and stupid crap like that. But sometimes they'll put that out there, but then they're really like hyperinflating the stage or what this is going to be. This might not even be a thing in our lifetime.
Yeah.
So
we gotta do more research on it.
But even then, like if it happened, it would be extremely interesting to see like who would do it, how would it pan out, who it would help, what problems it would raise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at that point, it's like, oh, are you going to be bullied for being a manufactured baby?
That's
I always
true
tell people,
too.
they're like, oh, who are your parents? I'm like, I don't have parents. And they're like, why? I was grown in a test tube. They're like, really? I'm like, yes.
Yes, I was.
Give me the name of the company. I'll start using that name.
Oh my God.
That was the first test.
Well, Chris, I really appreciate you for bringing this topic. It was super interesting. I was super excited because I like seeing you excited about things and about topics specifically. And I know that this would be something that you would enjoy.
It's definitely one of those.
So much. Thank you guys for watching. We're really working on trying to get people in. Like if you guys, anybody that's watching that knows us,
no strangers. Sorry.
I mean, we'll talk about that, but yeah. But if you know us, our friends and family, if you're something that you want to talk about, even if it's not you, the one that's gonna be here, just let us know. I would love to start, seeing comments about that,
incorporating different topics.
Anything. I'm really, really excited to have people over and be in the podcast, and that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to.
Me too.
Thank you guys for hanging out with me again.
Anytime.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Cool.